All right, welcome to another episode of Powerhouse Conversations. This is episode 41, and today we'll be talking with a special guest, Will Baggett, with Emergent Executives. Will is a personal development speaker and a sports business strategist, a best-selling author of The Blueprint of Successful Career, and founder of Emergent Consulting Services Group. Will, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on. Excited for the conversation, and thank you for the opportunity and the warm introduction.
No, I really appreciate you coming on. You come highly recommended. Love seeing that, everything you're doing on from a social media perspective. Your background and everything that you've been doing in the sports industry. Definitely want to learn a little bit more about that. So, just let's start at the beginning. Tell me, about yourself and about your business.
Okay, yeah, I won't take you too far back, but starting as back as I guess is what is relevant. I'm a high school has-been in basketball, so I played a little high school ball, and that was it. That was the extent of my capabilities. 5'7" shooting guards really aren't in style right now. So it was a good experience, man. And the interesting thing is, I kind of wanted to be in sports in terms of like maybe physical therapy or something like that. And I didn't watch my first college football game until I was a freshman in college.
Okay.
Now you fast forward, I've worked for the Cotton Bowl, the Peach Bowl, college football playoff. I've done the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? But it was just something I kind of fell in love with earlier on. So to kind of just take you through it real quick, I was working at Walmart while in college, and when I graduated from Ole Miss, I knew I wanted to get my master's in sport management. Didn't really know what that was. I didn't know what an athletic director was until I graduated. I mean, I had no clue about sports administration, right? I was really exposed to it living in Mississippi, right? So I got my degree and went on to Baylor University to get my graduate degree. I was an intern, grad assistant at the American Football Coaches Association, and that is really where I cut my teeth, and I learned just so much about the industry. I was around like these big name coaches, and you take someone that was in Walmart 6 months prior, and 6 months later you're standing right next to Dabo Swinney and David Shaw and all these just like college Mac Brown people you just seen in football and on TV, and you're just like, wow, I'm really here, and it's just such a blessed opportunity. After AFCA, I then moved to Atlanta, or I got some Atlanta ties there, and I worked for the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl as an intern, and then I left the Peach Bowl as an intern and went on to IMG licensing. So the CLC was kind of their division where they did apparel licensing. I had no idea what that was, didn't know that was a thing, but learned a lot about it, man, and just how the revenue is driven. And it was a very interesting thing, and it's taught me a lot, and even some skills I'm even using now in new business endeavors. So finished up with IMG, the college football playoff came calling, moved to Dallas, and I worked there for about 3 years. And then as I was doing that concurrently, I was writing a book and working on my professional speaking business. And it got to a point where I could go out on my own and explore some different endeavors. And I've been doing that pretty much ever since, and just working to build a good brand and serve people well, and help people get to the next level through body language coaching, just anything I can help them with, and just in the personal and professional development realm.
Gotcha. And so right now, are you working more with the athlete side, or are you working with the organization? Like, what are you specific to?
Absolutely.
To anyone?
So not partial to anyone, but just given my I guess my ingratiation with sports and having worked in the industry, I have been working with primarily student athletes. I've done some stuff with the pro leagues like the Pistons and Lions, but primarily with student athletes at institutions across the U.S. Also, I do some stuff work with staff, so I'll go in and do a student athlete presentation, and then I'll do a staff presentation the same day. So the content is pretty much evergreen, where I can apply it to any group, any age level, where we're teaching soft skills and things of that sort. But I'm actually in the process of moving over to the corporate space to do corporate training and corporate speaking next year.
Gotcha. And with this, this name, image, likeness, space that is emerging and things of that nature, is that something that has impacted your strategy or impacted your business?
Yeah, I would say so. I've been doing this. I call it the Executive Image Workshop. I've been doing this since 2017, and so I was kind of ahead of the curve in terms of personal branding, first impressions, and how to present yourself. And then just with the advent of NIL, it was kind of a perfect storm. You had transfer portal, you had NIL, you had pandemic, you had social justice, all happening at one time.
Yep.
And so just being a minority and being a speaker, being entrenched in sports, having had a personal and professional development brand that I've been building for 3 to 4 years upon end, that really positioned me well, because some states enacted laws to where they require 5 hours of programming prior to their freshman year and prior to the student athlete's junior year, whether it be time, it had to be a mix of like time management, decision making, personal branding, things of that sort. So I was able to really just fit into that mold and just continue what I was really doing already. However, as one thing Wayne Gretzky said, great Wayne Gretzky said, you got to go where the puck's going to be, not where it is.
Right.
So things are changing with collectives, with just the model that is college athletics. I mean, the NCAA is currently looking for a new leadership, and so there's just a lot in flux right now. And so I'm making sure I stay true to who I am and not trying to just fit a square block into a round hole, and just not trying to just follow in. I built a brand based on this. I'm gonna stay true to it. I'll evolve and I'll adapt. But there are some people doing some very interesting things in the NIL space, and I spent some time with No Cap Sports, doing contract work, building out the educational portal. So I just learned a lot about the business, and there are some people doing some really exciting stuff. And yeah, it's a new and fresh time, and yeah, I'm just doing my best to be part of that model and be a cog in the wheel, because it's everything from high profile athletes getting deals, cash deals, sponsorships, to student athletes starting their own businesses. It's just a very vast and interesting model, and there's no one size fits all approach to it, because you're dealing with individuals and people with different interests, backgrounds, resources, you name it. So I always say, no one knows what the hell is going on in NIL. If you say you do, you're telling a story. Nobody knows what the hell is going on.
Right. No, that's definitely something that I definitely speak to, is because it's the Wild Wild West right now, right? So it's a lot of things going on, and it's a lot of different people trying to get in. Everybody's trying to see, okay, how can I find my way in? And I think the biggest thing is that you have to find people who actually know what they're talking about, and try to stick to what they know, right? And I think that's a big thing. You kind of mentioned just minorities in this space, right? And I think the biggest thing is, from a minority representation standpoint, there's not a lot of African Americans that are in this space. And I interview and I talk to a lot of different people. So and when I'm doing that and I'm looking for people to talk to, it's hard to come by, right? And so tell me a little bit about what your thoughts is on a lot of the major athletes that we're talking about. They look like us, right? But there's not a lot of people that can speak to them in a way that they need to be spoken to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, man. And I'll just be totally honest and transparent. I've thought about this very deeply, and since I've been in college athletics, you hear about the exploitation. You hear different ways of describing it, whether it's indentured servitude, whether it's exploitation. There's 10 to 15 different labels for what they call it. And what I would say, man, in terms of a lack of minorities being in the space, if you kind of look at the landscape of college athletics and you see where a lot of minorities are working and the opportunities that they are fulfilling, we as minorities are very, very care driven. So we are typically on the front lines of student athletes, and so a lot of the great people I work with that are minorities are working in the student athlete development, the compliance spaces, because those are the caretaking positions.
Right.
And if you look back historically, I don't know if you know this, but if you read the $40 Million Slaves, jockeys, like horse jockeys, they used to be African American, right? They used to be African American because we took care of the horses the best. Like, we're just naturally caring people. When we were enslaved, we took care of the houses and the fields. We take care of things, we get things done. That's the nature of what African Americans do. The only issue with that is there's been a lack of exposure, and we haven't gotten those seats at the table to be able to know how to build out a brand, how to be able to conduct a media deal, because there's just a lack of exposure. And I'll be honest, I grew up privileged with a family full of entrepreneurs. So I'm 7th generation entrepreneur. That's privilege, and I have to recognize that and being exposed. And I've seen, like, my father, cut deals on a napkin, right? And as the older I got, the more thankful and privileged I realized I was for that. Right. So to answer your question, I think it starts back historically, and it's an upbringing, it's a family, it's an exposure thing. because when you have us in a position where we are not able to make ends meet or be able to be as comfortable financially, it's hard to create when you're worried about the rent. Right. You're back against the wall. I mean, you can do things, to try to make things come together, but it's hard to really have a clear mind when you're worried about the rent. And so I think this is an issue that goes back, years and years and years from lack of exposure, and that just kind of carries on through the generations. So I would say that, for me, I'm just eternally curious, and I found found a niche that no one was doing. Now, I've talked to a group the other day, and I'll say what the model is. It's typically non-minority at the top, a minority kind of in the middle ground to have these conversations, to do recruitment, just like it is in coaching, just like it is in any other thing, and then there's some other people kind of rank and file. And so I just hate to see, I actually saw this, and this bothered me to no end. I was talking to a group, an NIL group, and they had a slide deck shared on the screen, and they were showing like their the executive staff. And there were two non-minorities on the screen, and there was one non-minority. Now, the two non-minorities, they had on shirts and ties. The lone minority had on a football helmet and his jersey. I'm like, why is he being represented? Like, why can't he have on a shirt and tie in this?
Right.
I mean, the guy hasn't played since the 70s, so don't tell me about relatability.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, it's just a systemic thing to where we're always just kind of putting the meal. Like, if you look at the beginning of a football game, who's on the field? Non-minorities, pre-game. If you look during the game, mostly minorities. If you look during the game, if you look around the field, mostly non-minorities except for the actual team itself. So there's just a lot of different things at play, but I just do think it's a lack of exposure, and it's just a lack of kind of putting people in the pipeline to have these conversations. And also historically, with the wealth gap being what it is between non-minorities and minorities, particularly black people, there is not a lot of resources to go out and create. And also black founders have had trouble getting venture capital and getting resources to fund their ideas and their businesses. So we typically rely on someone, to save us, or even if it's our idea, to be able to carry that forward. And we just hope to get a nice position there. So I'll be honest, it bothers me, but I know it's a deeper issue than just numbers. Right. It's something that stems back, because you can't tell me that something this wide open, something this novel, you can't tell me that we don't have ideas. You can't tell me that we don't have plays that we can make. But it's just a lack of resources that can be traced back years and years. So I'm not making excuses, but when you think about just like even in our culture, sometimes like there is a lack of will and testaments being left. There's like a lack of insurance policies. So that's where real generational wealth is. Like these things that we're doing now, that's not generational wealth. Generational wealth is life insurances and things that can work with you without you being around. And we don't have to be able to create those systems to outlive us and to be able to influence the next generation. So I've had to think about that and reevaluate my business model, because the way that I'm structured right now, if I go, everything goes with me. So I'm starting to create systems and be able to get into new endeavors to where if I'm not around, these things can carry on and carry forward. So it's not what you leave to them, it's what you leave in them, is what I heard someone say.
No, that's a lot to unpack, because I hear a lot of different things, right? Because when you talk about, I think, generational wealth, is because, you talk about these things of not having these systems in place, or like we are getting into entrepreneurship and it's becoming a job. Like people aren't understanding that, okay, well, I'm going to work for myself, but really when these people are, when these other communities are creating generational wealth, it is businesses that are going to be passed down from generation to generation. And then, like you just said, like with trust and your will and your life insurance, that's money that is going to be passed down from generation to generation. And we are just now becoming entrepreneurs, and now we're becoming the having the mindset of, okay, well, we want to go do these ventures, right? And we're not really understanding the systems that have put these people in position to pass it on, and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
so
it's also dual wielded. You have lack of partnership. So I'll be honest, like I said, one thing I'm always going to be balanced. And so I mentioned what other communities are doing. I would say what I hate to see is I hate to see our communities messing up the money all the time. Like I really hate them. Like when I saw Black Lives Matter was misappropriating funds and buying mansions and stuff, like that broke my heart, man. Because these people, it's representation for all of us. And so I try to model myself with great integrity, great professionalism, because I know I'm impacting people that I don't even know.
Right.
The other piece of it is lack of partnership. So you have so many people, especially minorities, that are doing the same things, but we're not partnering up. We're not pooling resources. That's an issue. The other side of it is a lack of family structure, right? You know what I mean? So I say you're a husband and father of three children. That is beautiful, right? That is beautiful. They're seeing structure, they're seeing love, and that's going to be able to carry forward in their own lives, right? Because oftentimes it's what you model. You can say what you want to say, but what you model and what you exemplify is really what they truly remember. So kudos to you and your wife for what you guys are building and how you guys are building your families. But that's what I would say. We got to be accountable as well. It has to be balanced, and that's where we can take accountability is partnering up better, getting our families back together, and just taking care of our resources and doing the right things and leading with integrity. That's what we can handle.
Even when you brought up the lack of partnership, I think back to when you think about these big businesses and these big corporations. Think about PayPal Mafia. Like, think about all these different businesses and corporations that were created because these guys partnered and they created something. But in our community, it's a lot of ego and it's a lot of pride and it's a lot of things that people don't come together and just make something great, right? There's always somebody wants to be, and it's everybody's pulling to try to be the guy. When in actuality, if everybody is working together, and if there is a guy, a quote unquote guy, support that guy. It's seen, it's shunned on in our community that you're just riding his coattails or something of that nature. But like, if everybody works together, you can get to a certain goal, and I think that's something that's missing in us.
Absolutely, man. To that end, if I can speak briefly, just shameless plug, my business partner and I are working on a platform called Monetize Your Message, essentially teaching people to get into the speaking industry, share their stories, and earn compensation for it. Because in all honesty, being a professional speaker has changed my life, given me access to different resources, financially, experiences, relationships, conversations, and we won't be able to experience these types of resources, freedoms, and opportunities as well. But the main part I want to touch on is to your point. So my mentor is about 12, 13 years older than me, something in that range. We met back in 2017. He sent me a Twitter DM after he saw me trying to get my speaking business off the ground. Reached out, said, "Hey man, I see your work here. I'm a professor down at UT Austin. How would you like to come speak to my class?" I said, "Man, I'm on it." He said, "Man, I can't pay you anything but gas money." I said, "I'm on the way," right? And so that was one of my first speaking engagements. And so I had that opportunity. He took these pictures of me that made me look like I was like a pro. Like, took them from behind with the audience facing, and like my arms were up. It just looked like money, right? And this was like 3 presentations in, and I'm at 200 now. But I just think back to that selflessness that he exemplified in that moment. So after that presentation went great, we went to go have lunch. So we went to go have lunch, and he gave me all the game. I had all kind of sheets and one-sheeters and stuff I was going to use, and he said, throw that crap away. I said, okay. And he gave me the game for like 2 hours. After that, we didn't see each other for almost 5 years. It was 4.5 years to be exact, when we met in Houston at the Black Student Athlete Summit. And for the first time, we were on the same stage, right, at different times. And we saw each other backstage, man, and it was like a family reunion. Like, it was just amazing, because it's like I went on to build my business my way, and he's just finished his 400 keynote. I just finished my 200. And we were able to look each other in the eye and say, hey, we're here. You know what I'm saying? Like, we quote unquote made it. 2 months later, he calls me following that experience. He's in Costa Rica with his family. He says, "Man, I want to build out something to help speakers. And I don't know if you'd be interested in it, man. I know you got stuff going on, man, but I would love to partner with you on it." Now, keep in mind, this guy, former NFL coach, Harvard Law graduate, former president of Texas Student Body, author, speaker, you name it. And he earns over $500,000 a year in speaking. And he called me and asked me for my help. And I simply replied, I said, "Coach, I've been waiting on this opportunity since 2017.
Right.
And since that time, we haven't gone a day without sending at least 10 to 15 texts, voice texts, DMs. So any given day, like right now, my inbox, I have an email from him, I have a message on LinkedIn, a response on Twitter, and a DM in my Instagram, all from him. Like, we're locked in. But what I had to learn is, and it actually wasn't a learning experience, I've been waiting on it. He's the guy. You know what I'm saying? He's the guy. He'll earn $1 million speaking next year. So guess what I do? I open the door. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
You know what I mean? What you need, coach? You know what I mean? I
Right.
take care of all the behind, Steve. I'm taking care of the website. I'm taking care of the
Right.
apparel vendor. He ain't got to do nothing but show up and speak. You know what I mean?
Right.
And promote the brand and be on camera.
Right.
And at first he was kind of uneasy about it. It's like, man, like I want to be 50-50. Like, no. This needs to be you and then me. Like, you know what I'm saying? And
Right.
I would say it really shows your self-confidence when you can take a back seat, when you can
Yes.
voluntarily take a back seat. And
Yes.
so I told him straight up, I'm just being honest with you. I said, Coach, you a made man, I'm a made man. I can be an alpha male any day of the week. I can hold my own. But I respect you and I can learn from you. So I open the door. You know what I mean?
Right.
I take care of the emails. I'm up at 2 a.m., whatever, doing this and that. So all he got to do is focus on delivering, because when he elevates, our brand elevates. So that's what
Right.
I've been, exemplifying and learning, and it's been the best experience and best working relationship I've ever had in my entire life. No issues, no ego. Everything is just, he sends the play, I get it done, get the research done, send it back to him. He develops a strategy, we go to the next play. That's literally how we operate. So
No, that's dope.
so it's possible is what I'm getting to.
Yep.
It's
No,
possible.
I think that's something that a lot of people are missing is that mentor-mentee relationship, and it happens best when it's organic, right?
Mm-hmm.
You find somebody that you can actually like work with, and really learn from, right? And I'm always big on pulling back and helping people when you can, but then it's also like recognizing that, okay, I can learn from this person, or seeing somebody that that you can give value to, like, right, and making sure that you understand that, like you just said, the confidence that you have to be able to, I have value and I'm willing to give this value to somebody else that has value as well. So you definitely, that's definitely something that I think is missing in our community is people that are willing to give back, and then the people that are willing to give in the sense of like, I'm not so big and full of myself that I'm willing to give to you and to pour into you, and then you're going to pour into me. So I think that's big.
Yeah, man. I'm writing the scripts. I'm doing whatever. Like I'm hiring the videographers. I'm buying the microphones. Whatever we need. Whatever keeps him stress free and focused on moving the brand forward. And that's what the biggest thing has got to be, man. Because it's so easy, but by the same token, you have to be able to model someone that someone wants to be partnered with, right? Because he has a strong brand, a very strong brand. So if I come in, I'm doing all crazy stuff, this and that, then he like, I can't partner with you. You gonna bring my bag down. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's what it's all about, man. And I would like to see more of it, because there's so much opportunity out here. And honestly, like with him being at the level he is, and his, not only just his family structure, humility, but I'm saying stuff and he's over there writing. I see like you over there writing stuff down. Like he's taking notes, and he's going to earn $1 million next year. Like he's taking notes.
Right.
And so I'm just like, man, like that's true humility. That's never stop learning. So this is a true admiration, and that's what I want to be like when I get to that stage. I want to be that same way still.
And I have a similar story. Like my mentor, he calls me because he understands that, okay, well, I'm younger and I understand these things from a different mindset and a different perspective. So anytime he has a new venture coming in, he gets on the phone, he calls me, hey, fly up here to DC to do this. Like it's like, okay, I'm gonna piggyback. I'm gonna like I poured into you when you were young, and now I'm gonna utilize the mindset and the different perspective and the humility to understand that, okay, you have a different perspective that I don't see. Like I'm not going to be able to see it. So you really have to make sure that you're able to have the humility on both ends, because then one day you're going to be the one that has to, hey, I need to go back to the younger community and I want to learn, right? You can never be too full of yourself to learn, because you can learn at a young age, you can learn at an old age. It doesn't matter. You got to learn.
You got to learn. Absolutely, man. Totally agree with that. And that's admirable. And I'm so glad you guys have that relationship. It's a difference maker, a game changer.
Yep. So talk to me about because I know you said it's monetize your
message.
your message, right?
Yes, sir.
Monetize your message. Talk to me a little bit about how athletes can monetize their message.
Absolutely, man. So what we're doing is, so there's a lot of different ways to build that out. So you mentioned You know, you think about podcasting, what we're doing now, gaining sponsors, being able to provide the data, analytics to potential sponsors, and also knowing what you're talking about, knowing your audience, knowing what your audience cares about. Because there's a demographic, there's analytics you can run, and analytics and data is what's driving this economy and driving this country now, and driving decision making. So I would tell anybody, like, if you look on any social media platform, it has analytics. And you can leverage these things from your downloads, from your engagement, to be able to leverage partnerships. Because people want to see, okay, your demographics, who you're talking to, what their income is, where they live, how often they're listening, how often they're coming back. And if you can provide this kind of data, you can monetize your message, whether from podcasting or any other medium. For me personally, you can do content writing and copywriting. That's another way to monetize a message. For us specifically, we're teaching and training public speakers because that's what we know, and that's what we in our own way have mastered. So I do workshops, so I'm the one bouncing off the walls, facilitating up and down, we're moving and grooving. Whereas Coach, my business partner, he is a pure keynote speaker, Coach Darren Roberts. And we're able to marry the two experiences to be able to build out a brand that's going to be able to touch many people. So it becomes down to being able to, it's called what I call the pop. Your message has to have pop. And the pop is the power of packaging. There's a strategy that comedians use where basically how they deliver their punchlines, how they have cadence, how they let the room breathe. If they start off on a serious note to get you like here and then take you up to the funny part and give you like the kind of the punchline. There's strategy behind delivery. And so we're building out everything from how to get started, you know, how to tell people that you speak, how to find those coveted reps, because you need reps. Right, it took me probably like 50 reps before I really found my stride. And so whether that's reading the third graders, if that's at the Boys and Girls Club, you need to be getting reps, right? And you can't have any ego. And so I have people that come to me all the time. Hey, I want to speak. I said, okay, there's a high school career day going on the 11th. You should be there. Oh man, I wasn't really trying to do the high school. And I was like, okay, you don't want to be a presenter there. That's my list. That's my test. That's my test.
Yeah. If you're not willing to go get it in with the high schoolers, then you ain't ready for the.
You're not ready.
The paid.
Yeah. Shooters shoot. You know, presenters present, and I'm ready to present. I'm ready to
Hey,
present anytime. I can walk outside right now, ready to present. You know what I mean? So that's the mentality. And in order to be, you know, my coach always said this. I was a strength coach for about 8 or 9 years off and on. My strength coach always said, in order for a man or a person to acquire a particular skill, he must practice that thing over and over and over. And you got to be able to do the mundane things, the simple things that no one wants to do. If you do that at a really high level and they're on a consistent basis, I've never seen anybody to do that and keep their head down a year or 2 years and not have success. But you know, I've given myself a timeline. It's going to really take about 2 years to get this brand where it needs to be. After that, it's going to be, you know, we're going to continue to grow. But I've committed to 2 years. You know what I'm saying? So that's what the kind of the model is. But everything from how to get your gigs, how to structure your talk, how to have the right body language, how to work with different event organizers and planners, how to do your invoicing, how to set up your LLCs or EIN numbers, like anything and everything related to the business of speaking, and even coming with us on engagements. There's a model for that. Group coaching. We really want to teach people, because I saw a tweet today from Lil Duval, and it says people aren't getting rich from what they are doing. They're getting rich from telling you what they do. Yeah, that's a big thing. So for us, we see a lot of fluff out there. We see a lot of sales pitches and infomercials. And for us, we don't need anything to come from this, but it's a lifestyle for us. It's something that we enjoy, and it's something we want to help with. And also, it just basically it puts us on a system for us. This now becomes a system, because right now, if Coach goes or I go, something happens to us, our businesses go.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the way it is. And so we're trying to create these systems and put people in position to be able to monetize their messages effectively. And it's going to be a series of things. From, we have a newsletter, we have 6 months of content already written up. We have an ebook that I wrote. Coach is writing a second ebook in Q1. We have a podcast that we're gonna start recording on October the 13th. Like we're building it out, you know, step by step. We do group coaching, one-on-one coaching. We're just gonna have a real model where we can really give people the real game and really help them get started. Because again, this is something where a lot of people that don't look like me and you are in this game and doing well. So we need more people, and everybody has a story. And last thing I'll say, there's a quote that says, "No one has your fingerprint, so no one can make your imprint." And
Yep.
so your story is monetizable if you package it the right way.
Right.
So that's what we believe, and that's what we're going to push for.
No, I love it. I love it. I think, like I said, when we're talking about these athletes and these this generation, right? It's about being able to get your story out because, like you just said, I think in the past people always thought that, oh, well, you don't if you don't come from this impoverished background that you don't have a story, right? I think everybody has some type of story that they can tell, and and things that they've been through, right? Like you don't have to come from these very poor beginnings and things of that nature. Like your story is your story. Nobody else has it.
Nobody.
And as long as and what you all are doing is allowing people to understand how to get that story out, right? And somebody can, because everybody doesn't come from where you come from, the circumstances you come from. So I think that the more that these athletes are able to get their story out and understand that they have a story and understand that there's somebody that's going to resonate, that this story is going to resonate with, right? And understand how they can utilize that. That's the better that they'll be. And then the other thing that it makes me think about is that and this is one thing I always talk about, these athletes for years and years have only been able to be on this stage for 4 years, and then they don't know what to do afterward. They have no clue. So if you understand your value and you understand your story, what you all are doing is allowing them to actually utilize that and go and impact themselves and impact their futures off of it.
Bro, you know how far I would be if I had played college anything? You know where I would be? Like, I played high school basketball. That's it. That is it. Yeah. And I literally had to build this from scratch. So it's like, when I see these platforms these kids have, I'm like, bro, you know what you can do if you just do the simple things that are really, really high level. So, and it's interesting to me because my homegirl works in recruiting at an institution, a Power 5 institution, and she'll tell me all the time she's still getting kids at 18, 19 years old that have never been on a plane. You know what I mean? It's just like, I was like, man, it's 2022. And I'm just like, these kids were born in like 98, 99, 2000. But there is still a huge subset of us that are living in unfortunate situations. And I really, really hate it. So we're just, trying our best to change some narratives and change some lives, because there's enough for everybody. I mean, there's a lot of different people doing this. There's a lot of businesses, a lot of schools, a lot of organizations, and everybody can find their niche in doing what they do and can do well at it. So that's what we're seeking and hoping to create. And some people will find it out later. Some people will be early adopters. But I also, I mentioned it, in a different conversation, a lot of student athletes will earn more in college than they ever will in any other time of their life. So, and that can be a really high and a really low when that income's not coming in anymore. You've been working in something since you were 5 years old, and in 6 months the dream's over.
Yep.
That's a lot to deal with.
Yep, and just the mental aspect of it, right? Because if you, like I think that like you said, that has been some of these people's identity, right? Like that this was their identity. They thought they were going pro, and now they don't know. But to your point, if you understand your message and you understand your value, you understand where you come from, you understand how to articulate that. Now I have the self-confidence, and I have the ability to articulate my message and what I've been through, and now I can utilize that in anything, right? Even if I don't become a speaker, right?
Absolutely.
Just being able to sell yourself and understand who you are, that's invaluable. Think about when you go through an interview process for whatever company you're trying to interview. If you can clearly articulate what you're able to do, who you are, people will hire you.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many opportunities I've gotten, and I hate to say this, but I don't really care. No, I don't care. You could become a minority within a minority. So for me, if everybody's going left, I'm probably going right.
Right.
And when I was growing up, I got teased for speaking properly. I got teased for enunciating. Well,
Yep.
I guess it ain't funny no more. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I would tell people, man, if any student athletes or any athletes are listening, man, do different stuff. If everybody's doing the same thing, if everybody's thinking the same way, then somebody's not thinking.
Right.
And that's what I would challenge them to do, because just being able to communicate verbally and the ability to write has gotten me jobs and positions that I didn't even deserve and wasn't even qualified for, because there is such a lack of differentiation in our community that the expectation of the majority is for us to be a certain way. So if you come in different, oh, bro, they'll wrap their arms around you. The opportunities will just fall at your feet. But you got to do different stuff, man. Like, you really got to do some different things, and you got to create some separation, because you can't name any sport where the goal is not some level of separation, whether it's the final score, whether it's between an opponent and the end zone, whatever you want to call it. Separation is necessary for the elevation. And so for me, like, there's a graphic that I love. It's got like 3 people standing in a group, and then it's got this one dude off to the right with a balloon just going up in the air. And like the big group says, oh, everybody just wants to be loved, liked, and respected and accepted. And then the other side got Tom with the red balloon going up in the air. It's like, yeah, except Tom. Tom doesn't give a crap. I'm Tom.
Yeah.
I'm Tom.
Yeah.
Where's my balloon?
Man, if you really even think about it, because it goes to everything, right? Because even if you think about sports like basketball, you said you play basketball, right? You think about the people. Everybody wants to score, right? But if you can rebound, better than everybody else, you're going to be on the floor. Like, everybody else is trying to score, but if you can rebound better than everybody else, you're going to be on the floor. You can play defense. Everybody doesn't want to play defense. You're going to be on the floor. You can shoot. You're going to be on the floor. Like, if you can do certain things that everybody else can't do at a certain level, you're going to get on the floor. So it's the same thing for life and as a professional. Like, you just have to do things to differentiate yourself. That things that are going to have you stand out, and it's not always the pretty things. It's not always the things that everybody. And it's not always the cool thing that everybody else wants to do. And I think that's something that is invaluable that people have to understand.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I highly encourage it. Do something different. Different, because I'll put it like this. At the time when I was starting out, people ask me, why are you doing this? Why are you always reading? Like, I read so many books. Like, I read like 20, 30 books a year, because I was just trying to get a head start, because they talk about millennials and Gen Z being entitled and being this, that, and the third. I got it. I get it. And there could be an issue with that. So I tell people, like, hey, if you want to skip the line, do the work to skip the line. So I'm at 200 engagements at age 32. Not a lot of people my age look like me have done this, but I tell people I did the work. Like, I didn't go on any trips. I didn't have the money. I was at home reading and driving Uber and donating plasma. That's what I was doing, and sleeping in the car and renting my place out on Airbnb. So these are the things that I had to do that kind of built the character. This was all in Atlanta. You know what I mean? This was all in Atlanta, Uptown Square. Piedmont, right off of Lindbergh. Like, this is real life stuff. And I would just tell people, like, if you want to skip the line, if you're in a rush, you want to get to the bag, you got to do the stuff that it takes to skip the line. You know what I mean? You got to know somebody at the front. Like, know the bouncer, you can skip the line. You ain't got to stay in line. So whatever you got to do to create those relationships, those inroads, everything in your power and in your energy should be directed towards that. Because what's happening right now is a lot of distraction going on in our community. The people that can lock in and can focus, they will rise to the top in 3 to 4 years, and you're going to see who was capping, who was working in a few years. Right now, we're kind of post-pandemic, and you still got some PPP money left over, and this and that, and third. But give it about 3 or 4 years, you're going to see some real separation starting. Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like recruiting. Year 3, year 4, you're going to start to see that recruiting class, really show what there was about, and see what that coach, what that group was all about. And that's what it's all about, man. We just got to do the things, because when I was in grad school, I was coaching. I was also, they called me P. Diddy, because I was doing everything. I was selling concessions at the softball game, selling nachos and chips. I was also selling programs at the women's basketball game. But I did all these things to gain more experience, gain more relationships, have different conversations. You need to have different conversations. If all your conversations are the exact same, talking about the same stuff, then you're in the wrong room. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So
Right,
that's
right,
what it
right.
comes about. But you have these skills and resources and things that you can do that can really elevate you to the next level. Because working with Coach has been able to be able to evoke skills, elicit skills that I didn't even know I really had or thought they were valuable. But he's like, no, man, I don't have that skill. Like, I don't write scripts for videos. I don't do these kind of
Right,
things. And I'm like, man, that's what I love to do. So
right.
that's what it comes down to, man. But when you have conversations, also even with people that are from different backgrounds, so oftentimes diversity is grounded in black, white, green, yellow, purple, male, female. Diversity really is there's low visibility diversity, the stuff that you can't see, and there's high visibility things you can't see. So when you think about low visibility diversity, you think about how someone thinks, how they were raised, how they handle conflict, how they bounce back from adversity. That's diverse thinking if another person doesn't think that way, if they're negative, if they're pessimistic. That's diverse thinking, And so I think it's been shown that diverse audiences, diverse thought processes take businesses to the next level because you'll be able to appeal to different audiences, backgrounds, experiences. So I tell people, like I said, I've had people that are non-minorities that have taken me to rooms that I never would have got in with a minority, being totally honest with you.
Right.
But I kept it real. I took the information, took the resources, put it into a program to go help my people. Right.
Yep.
So it's a balance. You can
Bring it back.
right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's a balance. You can go get the resources, present yourself well, and come back and mobilize to help people come up with you. Because I don't want to be the only one. That's not my
Right.
goal.
Right.
That's never been my goal. And that, like I said, in my whole mindset, and I don't know this is how it's going to sound. This might sound Kanye-esque, but I really don't care. I'm not afraid to compete with. I'm not afraid to partner with somebody because when I set my mind on something, you're not going to beat me. Like Will Smith said, I'll die on that treadmill.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So we might as well partner up because I'm not going to let you win.
Right. No, I
You know
love
what
it.
I'm
I love
saying?
it. I love it. And I know we're coming towards the end, but I have some questions, some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Lighten the mood. But let's start off with what's your favorite book?
Favorite book would be, I think it is The Power of Habits. The Power of Habit. Yeah, The Power of Habit. I think it's The Power of Habit. I enjoyed that. Yeah, The Power of Habit.
What is your favorite album?
Favorite album?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good question, man. Favorite album?
And you can give me. That would be hard for me too.
Oh,
so
I
you
can
give me
answer.
two-
I
you
can
do it,
answer that.
dude.
I can answer that. I'll give you a couple. So Rod Wave's "Beautiful Mind," that thing slam.
Okay.
You can let it play.
Okay, I got you.
You can let it play. Also, I don't know if you heard of Play a Fly. You heard of Play a Fly? You know what Play a Fly is? Yeah, it's too Memphis for you. My bad. So look up Play a Fly, and I always say "So Icy Boy" by Gucci Mane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Straight South. It's all
Oh,
South.
super south. I'm from Mississippi.
Favorite shoe. Favorite sneaker.
Favorite sneaker, Jordan 14.
14. Okay.
14.
Your Mount Rushmore for athletes.
Not rough for athletes. Serena,
Okay.
Jordan.
Like that. Okay.
Tiger, and Brady.
Tiger and Brady. That's a fire one. I like that. I like that.
Appreciate it.
Your business people that inspire you the most.
Darren K. Roberts, my business partner, is one of them.
Okay.
My father,
Okay.
he's been in the construction business, owned his own business for 35 years. So he set us up to be on our own.
Gotcha. And who was your favorite player growing up?
Favorite player growing up, like I said, I tell you, I didn't watch football growing up, so I got to go basketball.
Cool.
I would say it would have to have been. I'm gonna go white chocolate, man.
White chocolate.
Jason Williams, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The elbow pass.
Yeah. I like white chocolate, man.
That's
Like I
what
said.
sold you.
Yeah. I like white chocolate, man. You know what I mean? He played the game. Anytime somebody can play a game that hasn't been played commonly, you know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Like, of course, you got
Yeah.
Jordan, but everybody says that. So I want to go against the grain a little bit. I'm gonna go white chocolate.
Okay.
I like white chocolate. I like the franchise too. Steve Francis. I like a bunch of
Okay.
franchise too.
Yeah. Steve was dope.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean that's the end of it. But I definitely want to give you some time to lead the people with your message. What do you want people to take away from this episode?
Yeah, man. I would say I would just reiterate: do hard things, do the things that scare you the most. I'll say this: it's gonna be a little dark, but you'll get over it. We're all gonna die, so you might as well do what you want to do because we're all going back to that dirt at some point.
Right.
And take risks, man. Like, life is short. Have a story to tell when you get old. You know what I mean? Empty the tank. Have a good time. Take care of your people. And always remember, the problem is never the problem. It's how you respond to it.
Love it. I love it. Well, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed it. Everybody, make sure you all like, subscribe, and make sure y'all tune in next week. I really appreciate it. And great episode. Appreciate it.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate the opportunity.